Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. Sunday morning, I'm going on a bushwalk, and I'm somewhere between Northmead, Borkham Hills and Castle Hill. I'm on the Bandicoot track at the moment and see where it leads us. But what I thought I'd do is I'd want to go through a walk and talk and a book summary, and a wonderful book summary at that. Today's book is entitled Feel Great, Lose Weight. Nice little ring to it, Feel Great, Lose Weight, by Dr Rangan Chatterjee. So just like we do on other occasions, I'm an emissary. I'm just a messenger who's going to just go through this book summary and pick out a couple of good points to discuss, a couple of learnings that we can hopefully incorporate into our schedule and inventory of skills, and hopefully use it to leverage our well-being and our lives, and also the lives of the people around us that we care for. So this book is all about being selective and discerning with what we eat, how we exercise, so that we maintain a level of well-being that can help us live a better life, I guess, in summary. So the author kicks off the book with a thought-provoking quote where they say that some foods damage our hunger signal and stop us from feeling full, which is a very interesting way to put it. To think that there are some foods that can actually damage the signals that we have in our bodies, that can impact us or stop us from feeling full. I know there are times where I just get out of control when I'm eating, and once I get on an eating binge, then I just can't stop. I just need to keep on eating, and that one Tim Tam becomes a packet of Tim Tams, then leads me to ice cream and chocolate, and you just become ravenous, and you just can't seem to stop eating, regardless of how much stuff you shovel into your mouth. But the author here is saying is that there are some foods that actually cause that and contribute to it. So having knowledge of it, I guess, is important for each and every one of us. Because he says that the foods that stop us from feeling full are the foods that increase our cravings, increase our weight point, and overactivate our store fat signals. So there's a lot going on there. So let's try and unpack it. Let's try and see what it all means and how we can use it. Because it is quite daunting to think that there are foods that can lead us to a dark and ugly place. So the author then goes on to say that healthy whole foods. So the good thing about this author is that they give us up front a solution before they give us all the issues and problems that we need to deal with and consider. And the author says that healthy whole foods reset our body signals, so you eat just enough and feel satisfied. So I guess the first lesson, the first call to action, is that we need to be eating more whole foods, because what they do is they help reset our clocks, our counters, so that we don't fall into the trap, as we mentioned before, of having the signals blurred and damaged. So the author here says we have tried everything and can't shed weight. Now, how many of us have tried virtually every diet that has ever been published? And in most occasions, we end up failing and failing miserably. Not only not losing weight, or even if we do lose weight, but putting that weight on and more. So the author here is suggesting that we need to fine-tune our eating habits. And once you learn how to fine-tune and to manage your eating habits, then results and lasting results will materialise. So the first formal point to come out of this book is where the author says that there are biological signals that tell you when to eat and when to stop. And these sometimes, as mentioned before, can become imbalanced. And this imbalance causes issues or potential issues. So just like a car needs fuel, so too our bodies need fuel as well. But sometimes things go wrong with the signals, is the point that the author is saying. So one of the key messages that comes from this book is that we need to learn to understand these signals, and more importantly, we need to try and understand better our signals. The author tells us that there is a chemical called leptin, which is responsible for letting us know when we are full. Leptin, a chemical called leptin. So we'll focus on leptin and see where it takes us. But that chemical leptin is critical for getting us to stop shoveling food into our mouths and eating mechanically. But the author then goes on to say that the problem with leptin is that it's prone to make you overeat. So the author here says that what happens is that when you have certain foods, insulin secretion, the hormone insulin, is secreted into your bloodstream and into your body, and that chemical insulin is what initiates your store fat signals. So instead of the food that you're eating being used immediately as energy, what your body does is it takes that food, those calories, and stores them as fat, which is not what you want to do. So, when insulin is active in your bloodstream, then what's happening is that your body is busy looking at ways to store the calories as fat, as opposed to using up those calories as energy. So you're starting to store fat, which is not what you want to do. You want to be able to use it up and burn it up. So it tells the body to stop breaking down fat and start burning down the calories that you just ate. So we'll continue on. So the next point that comes from this book is that each and every one of us have a thing called a body weight point. It's a point where your body feels comfortable with a certain weight that you're carrying. And then if you don't manage it, your body tends to use it as the thermostat. So it always wants to get back to that body weight point. We all have an ideal weight, I guess. So you can go through and do the maths, and there are tables which show that depending on your height, your age, your bone structure, your body structure, that there's an ideal weight for each and every one of us. But what happens is that when you impact your body weight point, which acts as a thermostat, what happens is your body says, depending on where that weight point is, and if it's too heavy, if you lose weight, then it wants to fight to get back to that weight, or if you put on weight, it'll fight to get back to that weight. So it's important to manage that body weight point so that it's a healthy body weight point, because what happens is, the author here says that it adjusts. Your body is able to adjust your hunger and metabolism to stay at this particular point. So most people have a weight point which is set far too high, and you see that in Western society, that people tend to be a lot more bulkier than what they would have been in yesteryear. And the reason is that over time, our ideal body weight point has sadly increased, and people are comfortable now being obese. Whereas when I was growing up, the weight police were everywhere telling you that you'd put on weight and to make you feel uncomfortable. And also the weight point was much lighter. The clothes sizes were much smaller. But, these days you buy a small pair of pants and in the old days it would have been probably a medium or a large. So the author then goes on to articulate with clarity how to go about losing weight. And he says that if you want to lose weight, sleep is the most important thing that you can do. So getting healthy amounts of sleep is one of the critical things that we need to incorporate into our patterns. Let me just cross the bridge here. Morning, gents.
Morning.
So the other thing that he says here, which is a little bit unusual, haven't heard this before, but he says that it's important to eat most of your calories before 3 p.m. Never heard this before, but it's something to consider. Something to consider, because I know that a lot of people tend to have their biggest meals of the day in the evening, where we have skip breakfast altogether, have a decent sort of lunch, but shovel as many calories into our gobs late at night just before we go to sleep. And that snacking, the incidence of snacking, a lot of people snack these days, and I'm guilty of that as well, which is not all that good. But he says something interesting here, that snacking constantly throughout the day can keep your body in fat store mode, just like having too much insulin secreted into your body. So having bad eating habits can be really bad for you. So what that does, of course, is by continually snacking, you're telling your body to continually stop breaking down fat and to start using, to stop using the energy and to start storing it as fat. So what the author here is saying is that if we're stressed and lack sleep, cortisol is secreted into our bodies, and what the cortisol does is it causes us to store fat. Look at this big mound. There's this massive mound that has been set up here by this bush turkey. a massive mound of dried leaves. So the fuel to next year's bushfire is caused by this bush turkey. Look at this mound of leaves. There's got to be at least a ton of leaves there or more. How funny, how interesting to see the turkey there just raking those leaves back and just building up its store of leaves, which may serve as a nest, I'm not sure. But let me just come over here close to it and see what it's doing. Busy at work, doesn't worry about me. Look at it go. Go, baby. Rake those leaves back. So there you go. So sleep is important, because if you're not getting sleep and if you're stressed, what it does is it builds your stress hormones, your cortisol, which in turn impacts your fat store signal, causes you to store more fat in your body, and will impact your weight loss efforts. So sleep more, be less stressed, I guess, is the key, and to make sure that you don't get you don't overreact to things. And the last thing here is that we need to adjust our eating habits. We need to eat slower, and there's a Japanese word for this. It's called harahachi bu, where people are encouraged to eat less and to eat slower. And according to the Japanese culture, one of the key and important lessons and aspects is that we need to eat slower, as we said before, but eat until we're 80% full. Don't eat until you're bursting at the seams. So stop eating before you feel stuffed, I guess, is the key point. So the Japanese term harahachi bu is mindful eating. And we also need to make sure that when we're eating with others. We eat slowly, we talk, we relax, we enjoy their company, so that we are feeling fulfilled with our lives. There you go. Just watching this turkey here, this brush turkey, rake back the leaves and all of that. My mother told me many years ago that the reasons why Greek Orthodox Christians have turkey for Christmas is that a turkey or a chicken, when they eat, they rake back their food. So at Christmas time, it's a time of reflection where we look back over the year and we consider and we give thanks to God, to Jesus. We remember his birth, and we remember all that has happened to us and our families over the year, and give thanks to God. And the reason why Greeks or Greek Orthodox have pork for New Year is that a pig, when it eats, with its snout, it pushes forward. It does the opposite of what a turkey does. So what the purpose of that is that on New Year's, what we do is we look forward. We make New Year's resolutions and we look forward to the new year. So I thought I'd just express that and use this bush turkey as an example of what we do and why we do it. But it was just interesting to see. And I just can't get over how big this mound of leaves is, and the work that this turkey has done to build up this massive nest, potentially. But I think what it's doing there is it's building up the leaves, and then it's going in those leaves and it's raking them back, and it's pecking at the food sources that it's probably generated. Very interesting. It's amazing how nature works. Never seen this before, but I'm really, really impressed with what I've been able to see and learn based on this turkey. So take care, everybody. Looking forward to catching you again and talking to you about another book, and hopefully becoming partners in each other's growth and development, where we can live, learn and pass it on, and we can implement. We can use the things that others have been so kind in putting into books. So OPE, other people's experience, is one way of building perspective and learning a lot more about the world around us, because each and every one of us only get to live a slither of reality. So that's why it's important to read books, to learn from other people, because we get to expand our perspective of life through the eyes and experiences of other people. Take care to all my friends, and we'll chat again shortly. Bye for now from Jim's 5am Club. And by the way, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jim's 5am Club, and to spread the message for other people to also subscribe, as I've got over 1,000. I've got 1,136 vlogs in English, which cover book summaries and learnings that other people could possibly find useful. So spread the word for me, and let's continue to live, learn, and pass it on. Bye for now. Cheers.